Rebecca?
Okay.
There we go. Okay, hey everybody, this is Corey Miller with iThemes. I'm here with my good friend Rebecca Gill to talk about weaving SEO into your WordPress service offering. Now, Rebecca's been doing this for a number of years, not just SEO, but SEO services for clients. We've been one of those clients where she's walked us through the process, and so now she's going to translate all the stuff she talked about in the past 3 days for SEO week into how to make money with that with your clients. And so I'm going to step out of the way. If you're not over at ithemechat.com, head over there for the group Q&A, but you're in for a great webinar, final webinar for SEO week with Rebecca Gill. So Rebecca, thanks so much again for coming on, sharing your experience and expertise on SEO week.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for staying with us all week. I know it's been a long week right before the holidays and everybody's wrapping up their year end, so I definitely appreciate all of you that have started out Monday with us and that have stayed through. The numbers have been great with attendance. The feedback on Twitter has been lovely to see, as well as comments in the chat room, so definitely from me to you, thank you so much. Okay, so today this is about you, right? I talked the first 3 days about SEO and best practices and my philosophies and the things that I do to excel at SEO. But today I want to talk about you and how you can take what you've learned today in just general SEO and kind of weave that into your WordPress service offering to make more money. It really does help augment your revenue stream, it diversifies your revenue stream, and it provides value to your customers. So it's really a win-win on both sides if you have the capability and the skill set to do it and offer it as part of your other WordPress services. So I have been giving tips and I've been asking questions throughout the week. So my first question to you today is, do you like puzzles? I asked this because I did not realize years ago that I liked puzzles. In fact, I didn't realize I liked puzzles until Chris Lema called me out on it one day and said, "You like puzzles." And I said, "What?" And he said, "No, really, you do like puzzles." He goes, "If you listen to yourself, you enjoy the puzzle, you enjoy the mystery, you enjoy trying to figure things out." And after he said that, I started to see it all around me in my life. I do like puzzles, and I like SEO because I like puzzles. So think of SEO as you're going into it, whether it be on your site or on a client site. It is a challenge, and that challenge is a puzzle to kind of figure out what works and what's going to work for a particular industry or a customer or a search term. And if you like puzzles, you will definitely like SEO. One of the beautiful things about SEO puzzles is they equal revenue. Revenue equals money in your pocket. Revenue equals money that you can spend on whatever, yourself, your family, your kids, your house, I don't know, anything. But it does bring in revenue. And it can bring in a lot of revenue, right? We try to really diversify our income stream at WebSavvy, and SEO is a part of that. Not only do I do standalone SEO projects with people, I also have that as a core part of our custom development process. It's optional for people, and we create custom websites with or without SEO, but it definitely helps increase that revenue and diversifies it so it's just not specific to web design or stock themes that we're selling through our store. So remember that as we're talking through this. What kind of service offering can you have with SEO? There's a lot of different things that you can do, and I think that when people think about SEO in regards to offering it as a service, they don't see the full landscape of opportunities that exist. So I've kind of broken these up into color codes and segments of the way that I view them, and I like to box up things, people and assets and services. I'll go into different boxes for me. So the first one is the red box. And this is really core to website development, right? So consider launching a new website for a client or redesigning an existing website and relaunching that. First and foremost, yesterday we talked about the keyword research and the site mapping. You saw my process and what I go through. And I spent probably 5 hours this morning working on this for a client. It takes a lot of time. That time equals dollars because you're going to have to figure out how much time you're going to spend on it and calculate it at the hourly rate for that and add that into your service offering. Category and tag strategy. Someone asked that about that yesterday. that is part of this package, right? It's not just products and service pages or an online store. It's also the category and tags and how you're going to utilize that strategy to increase your footprint on the search engine results page. On-page optimization of content and assets. And I say assets because it's not just pages. You can also optimize other things, right, within the website. Meta titles and meta descriptions. It literally, when I'm bucking out time for a given project, I actually calculate out how long it will take me to do keyword research is one, site mapping is another, on-page optimization is another, and then meta titles and meta descriptions. I have a good feel now for how long that takes me. It varies based on the size of the website and the complexity of the topic at hand. Because if you have, for example, an industry that is more technical, it will take you longer to do on-page optimization. It'll take you longer to do keyword research and site mapping because you have to teach yourself about the product or the service offering as you're doing the research, right? To be able to actually understand what's going on with their website and their content, you kind of got to read up on it and digest content. So that equates to a lot of hours. There are projects now that we will have a 1-to-1 ratio. So for every $1 spent in custom design and development with the team, we spend another $1 in SEO with the client. So again, great opportunities for revenue there. Okay, so the next is SEO plugin installation and configuration. It's a small bucket, but it still has revenue there because Yoast is not just install it and forget it. You actually have to install it and configure it to do it properly. Connecting Yoast over to Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster Tools and making sure those XML sitemaps are connected and they're error-free. Again, there's time involved in that. That is a service that you can offer and charge people. Editorial calendar planning and creation. People will struggle with what to do for content, right? It's going to be a hesitation on your client's part. You have to have content to have good SEO, but they don't know what to write about. They don't know where to start. They don't know how to push themselves forward. You can help with that, and you can charge for that service. Utilizing your keyword research and your sitemap and what's left over, those are a lot of good pieces of data that you can craft into an editorial calendar for the client to span out the year. And there's literally, people will pay for that. I've quoted it and I've charged for it. Copywriting, if you have the ability to write, I will tell you that it is one of the biggest areas that we personally struggle with because there are not a lot of great copywriters out there that can write for SEO. My friend Julie was an excellent one, and she was always my go-to gal for projects, and now she took a permanent job somewhere else, which crushed my heart because, you know, you need a Julie, right? Or if you yourself have the ability to be a Julie and be able to write that content for a client, they will love you for it because you take that burden off of them and they're willing to pay for it. We used to offer that service when I first started the business 6 years ago, but it was me doing it, and the larger that we grew and the bigger that we spanned out with our service offering, the less time that I had that I could dedicate to that. So it's no longer something that we offer ourselves, although I do try to refer that out to people that I know and trust. So if that is something that you have a skill set for, and if you can learn to write for SEO, agencies like me would love to hear from you because it's a service that we struggle offering to clients, and there's a lot of people that want that service. Ongoing content optimization. So in that respective, a client has a new page that they want to write for a product or a service offering, or they know that they are going to have a blogging campaign where they're going to be blogging twice a month, but they don't know how to actually optimize that content. We do a lot of that, and clients come and go with that based on where they're ranking and what type of goals they're trying to achieve for a given period of time. I have a woman sitting in my email box right now who I did a coaching call with, I think a month or two ago, and then came back and asked me to quote this for her to do optimize 2 blog posts, I think it is a month, and then I'll share them on social media and get them into WordPress for her. And then she just came back today and said, we'd like to move forward. Can you please, get this going for us in January? It's a service, and there's clients we've been doing this with, the same client for like 4 years, right? really good reoccurring revenue. It's a great service that you're offering to your client because there's a lot of clients that just don't have time to do it. And if you think about certain industries where this is a good fit, I can give you a couple just right away from our client base. The doctor's office that delivered my children, right? Those people are delivering babies. They do not have time to go into WordPress or to try to optimize content, yet they have wonderful information to share with their client base and to get out on the internet to bring in traffic. They write it, we take it, optimize it, post it to WordPress, and push it out to social media. Another client we have is consultants, technology consultants. Those guys are always traveling to their end-use clients, so they're never in an actual physical office. At best, we can get them to write a blog post on a plane while they're en route and just email it to us, and then we take it from there. Any type of service or customer that doesn't have a lot of time, that could give you bullet points or give you a sketch out of a blog post to get you going, you can turn that into that copywriting or that ongoing optimization. And again, they will be very thankful for it and be very willing to pay for it because it is a great service to them. The next bucket in green is directory management and social media management. Social media is critical to any type of SEO campaign that you're doing or ongoing optimization. Without social media, you cannot have solid SEO. You will get pushback from a lot of clients for this, but you just need to teach them the value of it and educate them on why it's important, both for outreach and getting referral traffic in, as well as augmenting your SEO reach. And a lot of people struggle for it. They don't either understand LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus, or they just don't want any part of it. Or again, like the doctors, they don't have time for it. The last thing my doctor wants to do is get on Facebook and have all of his patients start friending him. So what he does is he just has us manage it for him. Local directory management, by that I mean if you are a local business or you have local businesses that you work with, making sure that they're set up on services like Google Plus or Bing Local or Yahoo Local or, there's just tons of them. Those are of value because what those do is not only do they show up in search, those directory entries, but they also give indicators to the search engine to say, this business with this keyword-rich bio and this geographical area is available, and it points back to the website. So it helps with the actual website's SEO efforts at a local level. Definitely something for you to learn how to do or manage a service. There's a lot of services that do this as well because you can offer that to a client. They don't even want to, have to fill out the information for the service because, again, they don't have time to do it. Ongoing reporting and analysis. Now, that might seem silly. You might think that people can just use Google Analytics, but they don't have time for that. What they want you to do is look at it for them. They want you to go in and create some custom reports for them in Google Analytics, and they want you to watch things from a month-to-month basis and make recommendations to them. I have clients that pay for that on a month-to-month basis and have been for a while. One-on-one coaching, I do now a lot. And I actually do it on an hourly basis. I just started doing the hourly basis, probably like 3 or 4 months ago, and it's been really successful. And the thing that I didn't expect is it's been really, really rewarding. So, my offering is you can actually go onto our website, you can buy an hour, you pay through PayPal or with your credit card. You give me your website information, and I'm going to do a little bit of research before we get on the call so that when I get on the call with the client, we've got some actionable things that we can walk through. I'll even ask if they're willing to give me their WordPress login. I'll jump into WordPress before the call, and we'll walk through it together on the call at the same time through GoToMeeting. But what I like about this call is it not only gives somebody a great list of things that they can do themselves, it gives us together an opportunity to have further services down the road where I could actually help implement some of those things for them. But when they walk away, they're empowered, right? They feel like they have a much better understanding of SEO because what we've talked about has all been based on their website or their blog. And they can relate to it because it's in their terms. And I explain things like I've been explaining this week, which is just, normal talk, at least I try to, without a lot of geek verbiage going on. And I can discuss SEO on a specific page or an element of their website with their keywords, and they understand it and they are very, very happy at the end of the call. I like those calls. Those calls take some prep time for me, but they're good revenue. But more importantly, at the end of the day, the client's always very, very happy, and they give me great reviews, and I've never had one of those go bad, right? So if you did nothing else for services, doing that and coaching people, it's extremely rewarding. I can see why Bob WP does it as much as he does, because it is such a good feeling afterwards. Okay, so my last one in that group is on-site and remote group boot camps. Now, I started doing these probably 3 years ago. I do SEO boot camps, which is, I think, 2 days. I do a social media boot camp, and then I do a blogging boot camp. And I've done these for transportation companies and law firms with 50 lawyers. I've done it for a bunch of universities at the same time. That one I had to do remote because the universities were all over the United States. But this is really good revenue. I charge anywhere, I think, from $1,800 to $3,000 for a boot camp. Very good money. People, if they want me on site, they also have to pay for my travel expenses. And I've done the remote one. I did a remote SEO one for a company, a very well-known company in California, because I couldn't physically get there in the same time frame that they needed. So we just broke it up into 4 days, and we did it remotely. Great revenue, great money. And I try to make sure that the boot camps, again, just like my one-on-one coaching, are tailored to their website, right? Tailored to their industry. So it can be very meaningful to them. A newer thing we've been offering is SEO audits. These could be technical in nature or content related, like with keywords and things like that. And sometimes they kind of blend in together. From a technical standpoint, it could be looking at the theme itself to see what type of issues are involved. It could be their server or hosting issues that they're having. There's a lot of coding issues, and I can't do those on my own. I have to bring in my coding team to provide assistance. And then from a content one, it's really looking at their website and their current landscape in search and their competitors, and kind of doing that one-on-one coaching, but doing it in preparation and handing them a report, at the end of the engagement. And in that scenario, they have a paper document that they can take away with them and start going through and making improvements. I think my audit that I do is like 6 or 7 pages, but at the very front of it is a top 10 list. So I go through quite a few criteria, like 50 criteria, but then I give them a top 10 list of here's the most important things you need to do right away. And that usually is followed up by a one-on-one coaching call where we discuss things, and then a month later they come back and we have another coaching call where I can see their success, where they've done really well with implementing those suggestions, and then we discuss other areas where they can make further improvements. But when you look at all of those services, you see that there's a lot of different types of offerings that you can do. And the important thing is to figure out which ones you're good at. You're not going to be good at all of them, and you're not even going to like all of them. I hate local directory management. Hate it with a passion, so we pretty much stick away. We stay away from it. Copywriting, could I do copywriting for people? Yes, but to me it drains me, and I would rather just write for our own website as opposed to clients. So those two things that I don't typically do very much. My technical SEO audits are going to be dependent on our coding team's availability. So sometimes I have to turn those away just because we're at capacity and we can't manage that. But again, you get to pick and choose which ones you want to offer and which ones would be great for your firm. Okay, so the next slide I want to talk about rates, because I'm sure you just saw all of the offering that you could present to your client base. Now you want to know how much you can actually make. So I'll let you scan through that while I take a drink of water, because I've been rambling nonstop for 15 minutes. Okay, there are different ways to do rates, and I do different types of payment structures based on the client, right? So hourly rate, that's kind of a no-brainer. Everybody has some type of hourly rate that they're going to use to build up either retainers or project fees, or just use for small coaching engagements. My current rate is $200 per hour, and I've played with this. I started the business at $100 per hour, and I've never been less than that because I came into Web Savvy having a lot of experience and knowledge, and I knew I could get at least that rate. And then I kept it at that rate for quite a while a few people said to me, you're way undervalued, right? You're not charging as much as you can actually get. And people even today tell me that at $200, I'm still not putting my services at the right value. However, what I have found is people were very quick to spend $100 per hour. People are still very happy spending $200 per hour, but if you take it to $250, all of a sudden nobody wants to spend the money. And I think at $150, I even had challenges with people spending the money because they didn't truly see the value of it. But 100 and 200 were perfectly fine. So feel free to kind of adjust those rates to get to the right rate for both your experience level and what you can deliver and what people are willing to pay with your type of target demographic that you're servicing. From a local monthly retainer standpoint, they're going to be lower, and it's really going to, be based on how much work is going to go into what you're going to be doing each month for the client. It's the client. What do they need? Do they have to be blogging? Do they just need some social media? Do they need you to just manage local directory listings for them? We've got one client that's even lower than that, and they've been with us for a number of years, and we don't have to do very much for them. We manage their website updates, and we make website updates for them. We manage some social media and some newsletters, and I charge less for it because it doesn't take a lot of hours. But from a national standpoint, those are going to be much more pricey. The first engagement that I did when I started the company was at $4,000 a month, and I kept that client for over a year. I spent a lot of time. I spent at least 40 hours a month with them. That was when I was billing at $100 per hour, but we had a lot of good results with it. They were fine paying that money because they saw the results, and I saved them from having to hire a marketing person and have somebody internally, supported with not just the hourly rate that they were making, but also all the benefits that went along with it. You're going to have to figure out what your service offering is going to be to people, how long it's going to take, and then figure out, based on that, what your retainer should be. But know that they will scale drastically based on the competition that the client has to deal with, their reach, and just their industry as a whole, because some of them are going to be very competitive and are going to have to be at the higher end, and some of them are not, and you can go at the lower end. From a project-based fee, that is a really wide range, and I know that, but literally it is really low. Something local could be done for $1,000 up to $20,000 engagements, and I have done $20,000 engagements. It's really, again, how much time that you're going to spend. I'm perfectly fine doing project-based engagements with people, and I would actually almost rather start the relationship with that as opposed to putting them on a retainer right away. That does help me set me apart from other SEO consultants, because there's a lot of SEO consultants that force people into being on a retainer monthly. I don't do that. I say, let's do a project together. Let's get you started. Let's get your foundation right. Let's get everything that we can right, and then you decide after that if you want to move forward with us, or if you want to take that on your own, or even hire another SEO consultant. I never want people to feel tied to me. It's like the philosophy of open source, right? They should want to do business with me because I have been successful for them and I've proven myself. They should not feel tied to me. If you take that approach with people, you will actually do well with clients, and it'll be easier for you to sell. If you try to force them into a 6-month engagement for SEO, you're going to struggle with that, because that's what everybody else does. And people are very wary of it, and a lot of times they've already gotten burned by it. SEO audits is the last one. Again, those can be, a quick couple-hour audit for $300, up to you're doing a really in-depth audit. I know that there's one of the consultants I gave you yesterday, I think his name was Alan, starts with a B, the last name. I think his minimum price point is at least $3,000, and it might be now $5,000. Although he is an expert, he has been doing this for a very long time. If you can understand SEO and you can get good at SEO and you can also code, that's a great sweet spot for you, because you can fix a lot of issues for people and really make some great progress with them. All right, so let's look at the pros. I've talked about service offerings that you can have with SEO. We've talked about pricing. Now I'm going to talk about pros and cons, but we're going to start positive and we're going to look at pros. Why would you want to offer SEO services? First and foremost, it helps differentiate you from other WordPress developers and consultants. It's been great for us with this. It helps set me apart. It increases project pricing. Because you're offering additional services, you can charge more, a higher price point for the development that you're doing in WordPress. It offers a much higher price per hour than a lot of WordPress configurations or coding can. I can charge much higher for me doing SEO than I can for a coder that's doing, standard front-end coding, or even someone who's helping to configure a theme for somebody. It's an option for reoccurring revenue. It diversifies your income stream. It extends your client base outside of WordPress, right? So if you're a WordPress developer right now, that's all you can really service is WordPress customers. If you do SEO, you're not tied to just you're not tied to just WordPress. You can actually work with other firms that use Drupal or Joomla or non-CMS solutions. I do have clients that are non-WordPress clients. I'm very particular on who I take with that, right? My default is if you're not on WordPress, I can't help you. However, I'm working with an app provider right now who they're not in WordPress, and I can't make any of the changes, but they have an in-house technical staff team that can. So I have confidence that what I tell them to do, they can actually do and execute. So that's kind of my line there on whether or not I'll work outside the WordPress website area. It provides a more holistic solution for your customers, and I think that that's a great offering. I mean, yes, it differentiates you, but it also, you can provide more value to them, right? You're giving them a more balanced approach to the web design and development offering, which will be very beneficial to small businesses who wouldn't otherwise be able to obtain those services. So my next question to you is, do you like to learn? This is really, really important because you will spend a lot of time learning about SEO and educating yourself on SEO. It is the first con that I'm showing here because it is a major one. I spent lots and lots of hours when I was learning SEO, 15 years ago. I can remember literally sitting on the floor with my daughter next to me. She's playing Little People, and I'm on my laptop, and I'm, educating myself on SEO and half playing with her at the same time. And that was at night on my own time. You can't go into SEO and think that you're going to offer that service and do so well without knowing that you're going to have to spend a lot of time at the beginning educating yourself. And then just kind of doing some trial and error on websites that are not client websites, right? Just set up a dummy site, or, do it with your own site. But trial and error is a really good way to learn because you are seeing cause and effect. SEO is really labor intensive, and it is a difficult skill, right? It's not super easy, so it's not as if you can hire a junior staffer to have them do it for you. So I have a hard time finding someone I can ever delegate it to, and if I have hired somebody, whether it be an employee or a contractor, and I've trained them on SEO, as soon as I get them trained and get them into thinking like I do, they leave. So that is something to consider. You can't take on a bunch of retainer clients or SEO clients and think that you're going to be able to just step away and let them manage it all for you. It doesn't really work that way, or at least I haven't found it works that way. Another con is that SEO is constantly changing. So there's ongoing education. Not only do you have to get that initial base for knowing what you're doing and be able to, do it well, you have to make sure that you're staying up to the changes of the algorithms and, what's going on around you with the search engines and how they're just shifting things like, the focus on intent or long form content. I gave you some resources yesterday of Twitter accounts that you can follow to help make that process easier, but still there are lots of shifts and the rules change quickly, so you have to make sure that you're really up to date on things. The next set of cons are the client. So there are clients who are not going to understand that you cannot produce immediate success. This is not like a web design project where you can start changing things on the fly in the front end and they can see it magically by refreshing their browser. SEO doesn't work that way, right? Design and coding, you can make swift changes for people and they can see it and they know that things are progressing and they know that you're doing your job. It is very difficult with SEO to be able to do that, if not impossible. And You have to educate your potential clients that success is going to take some time, and they're going to have to give you trust, and you have to build up that relationship with them. Reverse engineering, I'm a strong believer in this. This is at the heart of SEO. You have to have some desire to do that, because it's the best way to educate yourself, right? I said trial and error above, and then, as you're doing things, reverse engineering what the successes are so you can apply that. And I've been talking about that all week because I really believe it strongly in it. And I didn't realize until recently that I do that as much as I do, but it is a big basis of the SEO work that we do at WebSavvy. The last one is great SEO is going to require content. You either have to be able to write content yourself for your client, or you have to have an active client who can participate and give that client to you, or give a good portion of that SEO or that content to you so that you can optimize it and make it a success. If you don't have good content, you are not going to have solid SEO, and you're not going to have success. So they're not exclusive to each other. They have to go together to have any type of activity go well. I had promised in the overview of today's webinar to tell you what to avoid. I have 10 tips to avoid, and I'm pretty strong on all of them. First and foremost is don't offer any type of SEO service until you're confident with that skill set. The biggest reason for this is to protect your client, right? It's not like design or coding. There isn't a quick fix. If you don't know what you're doing in SEO and you take on a client and you start working on their website and trying to optimize it, and you do 10 things that are wrong, that can have significant impact on them that is not easily fixed in the short term, right? If you're doing bad black hat things without realizing it, they could get removed from Google or placed in a Google penalty, and you could dry up their revenue very, very quickly. Keep that in mind as you're walking into this process and you're going to be offering services. It isn't just about you, it's about your client and their employees and those employees' family and the food on their table. You got to think in that process that don't go forward unless you're really comfortable with what you're doing. Number 2 is don't sign up for more SEO services than you can successfully manage. I told you on the last slide, it's really hard to find employees that you can hand stuff off to, and keep that in mind, right? Don't take on more than you can actually do, and don't try to be a superhero. If it's something that you're not proficient at, tell the client. They're going to be okay with it. I'm very honest with people and say, I don't do pay-per-click. I don't like it. I don't know it. I don't want to know it. Go talk to XYZ because they'll take care of you. Clients are okay with that. What's more important to them is that you're honest and not that you wear a cape. Okay, my next suggestion is to avoid national clients at first. If you are working with a client who sells nationally, it's much harder to rank than a local level. If you're getting your feet wet with SEO, start local, right? It's easier to rank them. You have more things within your control. You can set up things like Google Plus accounts and the local directory listings, and you can make a quicker impact for people than you can at the global level. Don't go horizontal in approach is another one when you start out. Start with industries that you know well and understand. I started with ERP clients when I started WebSavvy and technology-based clients because I understood enterprise software. I understood technology. I could speak that language and I grasped that language quickly. If you put anything in front of me that was enterprise software related, I got it, right? I could digest that content quickly. I also knew the space. I knew that industry. I knew who was weak. I knew who was big and who was really good at organic SEO. So I could help win those clients ranking much quicker than I could in another industry. So if you start with industries you know, it'll be a much easier process for you to get going. Don't sell services to clients that they don't need. The SEO land of consultants have a very bad reputation. They're considered snake oil salesmen because people sell client services they don't need, or they sell them a group of services and the client has no idea what they're getting for their money. And SEO consultants will even tell clients, don't worry about it. I got you covered. You don't need to know what I'm doing. Well, that's not, all of that has built an environment of mistrust. Don't make that worse by selling something to a client that they really don't need. Focus on what you can do of value and what's going to help benefit the client, and work with that, because you'll both build the trust with your client and you'll build yourself a reputation of being a very solid SEO consultant. Number 6 is, despite what spam emails you get from Joe Smith over in India, you cannot promise somebody page 1 status on Google. It is not going to happen. You could potentially get them to page 1, but considering that Google has over 100 different ways to display results, you have no idea which results you're guaranteeing. So you need to be cautious of that. I never will tell people that I will promise to get them on page 1. I will never give them a time frame that I'm going to guarantee. I'm going to tell them what we're going to do, what we're trying to achieve, and what I'm going to hopefully provide at the end of the project to show success. Don't learn search engine optimization on your client's dime or on their website. You have to invest in yourself. I gave you an example earlier of sitting next to my daughter when she was a toddler. That was me investing in myself, on my time, my personal time, so I could better my craft and I could be in a better position to help my clients. If you're going to go into SEO, you need to keep that in mind. It's not right to learn on your clients on their paycheck to you, or on their website where you could actually do damage. Number 8, which is another thing that the spam emails promise, is their goals are all on ranking. SEO isn't just about ranking, and it's certainly not about individual ranking. It's about the ranking of the website as a whole, and how that ranking is going to influence traffic for new leads and sales and revenue generation. Don't just talk about page 1 ranking if you're trying to sell to somebody. Talk about overall objectives and go one step deeper and talk about how you can better improve conversions on their websites and generate real revenue and produce ROI for the money they're spending. Number 9 is, you can't fix ugly. There have been client or potential clients who have come to me with the worst website ever, both in visual and code, and want me to work on SEO. I will not do it. You can't fix something that is that broken. SEO will not make an impact. They need to fix the core issues with usability and code before you really start to try to optimize. If you try to skip that, you'll never really get any results. You won't increase their conversions, you won't increase their revenue, and the project's going to be a failure. Number 10 is, don't chase offsite links through outdated link building strategies, and that is the link juice. Don't chase it. It'll do more damage than it will good. It's not safe anymore to do it, especially if you're just starting with SEO, because you're not exactly sure what's safe and what's not. Okay, I'd like everyone to take a second and read that testimonial. It is on the bottom of our testimonial page with an actual name and a picture, and it is a real client. And I'm not showing you this to puff myself up and to make my ego large. I want to educate you on the fallacy of this statement. This client said that we quadrupled his website traffic and nearly doubled his revenue in a year. And much of that can be attributed to our efforts with design and SEO. Here's the reality of this statement. This was my first client at WebSavvy. I used StudioPress's corporate theme to customize it myself, which is scary because I'm not great at code. And I built a 300-page website for him based around SEO and based around converting users into new leads. Did it work? Did we really quadruple the traffic, and did we really double his revenue? Yes, we did, or I did, with their help. But here's why. That client did everything right. This is an anomaly. This does not happen all the time. I wish it did, but it doesn't. This client did everything I told him to do. When I told Eric we needed to have blog posts, he produced them. When I said we needed at least 2 per week, because that's what we needed to compete with on his national level with companies like Epicor, he produced them. When I told them to write a blog post about XYZ and I gave them the keyword, they did it. When I wanted to optimize it and change the text of it, they let me. Everything I wanted to do, they said okay to. They were my partners. They had a vested interest in making sure what I was trying to do was successful, because it was going to help them as an organization. And doing that helped create those results. But it's hard to find clients like Eric. It's really hard to find an organization that will do everything that you tell them. What really happens is I tell clients I need to have blog posts to be able to optimize and have fresh content and share on social media, and they don't come because the client doesn't have time. And a week go by, or 2 weeks go by, or 3 weeks go by, and you're still waiting. You have to have a willing client and have to have a client who can participate and help you meet those objectives to really be successful with SEO. If I could have every client like this, I would. You know, we stayed together, I think, for a year and a half. They eventually hired someone internally to take over and to build on what I've done. And when we were looking at results, I think either on day 1 or day 2, his website was still sitting on page 1. So they've done a really good job at taking the foundation I built with them and moving that forward. But again, he's not the norm, right? So keep this in mind. You know, when you're going to go into this type of service offering and you are looking at what you can do with a client, know that this is what we want, but know it's really hard to get here because it's not just you. It's a partnership between you and your client. Okay, so my last Boost Your Knowledge slide for the week. SEMPO is a association for SEO consultants. I've been a member of it for a very long time. Do I do a lot with them? No. I usually sign up for memberships for associations and then get tied up and don't participate very well. So it is out there. I wanted you to be knowledgeable about it. It does have resources available to you. And then I wanted to give you, at the bottom of the slide, some reference points for where I was getting some of the data for your pricing for your services. There's a lot more on the internet, but here were some good ones that I found that I wanted to share with you. Now, Corey Miller, I am going to turn it back over to you, and we have, I think, 17 minutes for Q&A.
You bet. All right, that was a great overview of all you do, and I know you hit on some key topics that people are most interested in. But so I think people are going to have some more questions that I was seeing through the chat, trying to kind of categorize those a little bit. But if you have questions about SEO services, all week you guys have been asking about SEO tactics and strategies, but let's try to focus today's questions around the topic of offering SEO services to your clients. One of the questions, Rebecca, was how do you weave SEO services into things like website design for clients?
So it's changed over the years in how I've done it. I used to have it, so as I talked to the client, I would kind of get a feel for, A, would it be beneficial to them, B, are they open to it, right? Those are the first data points. And if both are in line, then I would suggest that we, include that in the project, and I would have it as part of the proposal. So for the first 5 years of Web Savvy, it would just be baked into the price, and I would give them an all-inclusive project price, and SEO was part of the project plan that I showed them. Now I actually break it out, and I started doing that probably 2 months ago, and actually it's been much more successful because people see how much money goes towards SEO, and they see the plan, the detailed plan for it, and then they compare that to the design, and they realize that there is value to it, and they actually do want it. So that's how I approach it. But keep in mind, not everybody's going to use SEO. They might not need it, or they just don't believe in it, and that's okay.
Okay. So with your services and SEO particularly, how do you do you offer reports to your clients, and if so, how do you do that? How do you measure, say, from month to month or however long your engagements are, what you do for the clients?
So we use Google Analytics a lot, and we use goals a lot in analytics. If you've never set up a Google Analytics goal, make that happen. Figure it out. There's a blog post on my website that talks about it and walks through both why you would want to have goals, types of goals, and then how to set one up. And that would be like someone sending in a conversion form, right? An inquiry form on the website. It's considered a conversion. So we use goals because goals can help. It produces a data point if it's the company doesn't have revenue coming through the website, like product sales. You can track that back through social media to see what goals are getting converted from social media, one network to another. You can look at the search engines down to phrases and landing pages that are driving those end goals of either the inquiry or a sale on the website. And those are really important to be able to show the value to clients, to see what's working. Some of the other things that I do is, with clients who we blog, and we're optimizing those, and I'm pushing the clients for that blog content. I show them the top landing pages, right? And guess what happens when they're blogging? The blogs are the top landing pages for the month. So when we have a report, I can say, look at what happens when you blog. They're bringing in more traffic than your product and your service pages. It's because it's so valuable. And so those are just some of the types of reports that we do.
Excellent. Now, just wanted to remind everybody that a lot of people have been hitting the forum down below the chat room there, and if we can't get to your questions, we'll be working with Rebecca and figure out how we can maybe share some of those answers for the most common ones through blog posts or beg her to come back for more training. But anyway, here's one question I have, and I'm going to smile when I ask it. It's not me asking it, but it'll ring true for conversations you and I have. How do you advise a client who wants to use pay-per-click in addition to your SEO work?
See, now I know why Corey's smiling about this. This is an inside joke between him and me. Okay, so I also have a blog post on this on my website, because pay-per-click can be a good augmentation to SEO, particularly while you're ramping up SEO, right? And while you're working on getting your ranking established, pay-per-click will fill the gap in the traffic up until that point. If you've got really competitive keywords that you just can't rank on because of the industry or the target market demographic, you can use pay-per-click for those terms, right? But where I struggle is where people are paying for pay-per-click on phrases that they're already ranking on organically, or their brand names, or on terms that don't convert to anything, right? So we've had clients in the past who I went into Google Analytics and I saw that they were paying thousands of dollars in pay-per-click, and it was converting into nothing, right? You could see organic SEO and social media was driving all of their revenue and all of their conversions, and all of the pay-per-click did nothing. So it was money down the tubes, in my opinion, and I had them whack it. So that's my view of pay-per-click. There is a place for it. It's just not for me.
Gotcha. That was probably one of the shaming moments when you're like, hey, Corey, shame on you.
It was. If I was close to you, I would have smacked you with a ruler, just like a nun in school.
Okay, how open are your clients, generally speaking, to content marketing and copyright services? I mean, with SEO, you're trying to get a plan in place and all that kind of stuff, but copy and being able to do things on your actual site are what, you part of the huge equation, right? So how open are clients to those particular services? Do you go back and forth? Do you recommend them use some other service? How do you approach that?
So I would tell you that 4 out of 5 people that I work with ask for copywriting of some semblance, right? Whether they want someone to actually write the content from scratch, or they want someone to make what they've wrote better. Because a lot of people just write very dry, and it's very unreadable, I guess is the best way to say it. So 4 out of 5 people want that. You don't have to sell it on them. They already want it. They just don't know who they trust to give it to them. And that's the biggest challenge, is can the person digest what this company does to really write content that's going to make an impact with the reader. And the 1 out of 5 that don't want it, it's because of the nature of the industry or their offering, where it is so technical that you're just not, like the average copywriter is not going to pick up and be able to write it. I mean, these could be lab companies or high-tech companies. It's not feasible for a generic copywriter to be able to have a talent set there.
Great. So a follow-up with that is, how much do you charge to copywriting? Do you do it per hour, per page?
Oh, for copywriting?
Mm-hmm.
So everything I do is per hour, right? And this includes on-page optimization, or even creating meta titles. Based on the client and the type of content that they have, I figure out how much can I push through in an hour, and then I will give them that price. So from, most of the time it ends up being a page value, but that page value is based on the hours it's going to take to do it.
Okay. So Okay, here's a good question, and it's kind of more the approach to selling the services. But this particular person says clients don't often understand the value of SEO services. How do you know? Do you have any way of quantifying this to clients? Or I think a better way to ask the question is, how do you approach that with clients about sharing the value, return on investment for SEO?
Most of the people that come to us that are open to SEO already have it in their mind that they need it, and they're coming to us because they know we're good at it. So for us, we're really lucky that we don't have to sell much, right? It's more of a validation. Can I execute what they think I can execute? You know, do I have experience enough to do what they need me to do? So the selling part for us is more that than saying, oh, you really need SEO and let me convince you. I have had people recently actually say to me, so-and-so referred me to you for SEO. You know what? I just don't know about the value. You're going to have to convince me. And my response was, that's not why I'm here. I'm here if you need SEO and you see the value in it, I will deliver that for you. But I am not going to try to convince you that SEO is something that you need. It is something that you need, but that's not my role in this relationship. And I just cut it at that. And guess what? The person has got ongoing SEO services with us.
Yeah. Gotcha. So how do you handle a situation where you've done an audit and you see that a client has a ton of coding issues? And I would probably say maybe, you know, you're getting ready to engage them on SEO, some kind of retainer type work, but if a client website has just a ton of issues on their actual website, how do you approach that?
That's a great question, and it's something that we ran into within the last 30 days. And with a wonderful woman who I did some SEO coaching with, and she's come back a couple of times for more, and then she wanted to go even further, and I just finally said, you know what, your website is not in the position to continue. You really just need to get a new theme. I mean, she wanted to make changes to the theme, but there was so much wrong with it, it was not worth trying to update it. At that point, we recommended that she use a stock theme, and that's what she's doing. Someone on our team is actually helping convert that and show her to a new theme. And we actually had another one with a gentleman from WordCamp Ann Arbor who I met, and I actually, we didn't have capacity to help him, so I actually referred him out to Codable, so that Codable could help convert him to a new theme, because his theme was so bad, there was just so many inherent issues, it wasn't worth doing any SEO from a content standpoint until he fixed all of the issues, and it was too much coding issues to try to, you know, charge him to do it. Just nobody wanted to do it. It was better for him just to move to a new theme.
Gotcha. Okay. Next question. So I guess as far as you might have already kind of answered this by saying that you gauge your services around the time that it takes to take it, but to do the project, fulfill it. But someone asked, how do I set a limit for the SEO work for a client? I mean, SEO takes time, so clients can afford this kind of money, so I must set a limit. Any tip around this?
Your limit is the time that you quote. You know, say that you are, when you quote the retainer project should be X amount of dollars, which equates to X amount of hours. That's what you do. You know, and I have clients where I've gone over because I love them, I want to do good for them, and I had the time available that I could throw in there pro bono. But you gotta keep you have to have some structure, and you have to have some boundaries. Otherwise, you'll put yourself out of business. And if you're out of business, you can't help anybody.
Gotcha. So, as far as the services that you sell, do you have a productized service, or do you kind of go one by one, case by case on what they need, and then quote them a particular SEO, you know, engagement?
That's a good question. So the way that we do it is my hourly rate is a fixed rate, and I have fixed rates that I add on to custom development for SEO, and that's based on the size of the website. I do like 25 pages, 50 pages, 75, 100, 200, and 300, as those are the blocks that I do. That has preset pricing, and I know that that's how much it's going to take for us to be able to do SEO for a given website. And then we will scale up from that or scale down if the industry or the client is going to require more or less time.
Gotcha. And someone asked previously about the tools or services you use. I know you're a prolific user of Basecamp.
Corey says that with some anger at me because I force everybody into Basecamp. Yeah, I use Basecamp is what we live and breathe by, and I showed you my tools yesterday that I use for research, and I use for optimization. You know, I build through FreshBooks, but really I live and breathe through Basecamp. Anything that we do for any project that we have, any client that we have, always has something open for them in Basecamp that all of us can go back and reference it. And trust me, when clients pop back up 4 years later, which they will, whether they want a new website again or they want additional services, it's great to have that history, which is why I love Basecamp.
And having gone through her process that she's honed over the years, that is awesome. She said she lives and dies by it because it works, and it keeps everything very organized. And I've been pushing her to say that she needs to do another course just on this. Now, Rebecca's time is very valuable. You've seen kind of the things that she does, so that'll likely be something down the road that I'm going to encourage her to do as a paid component. But her process is worth it just to see what she's done. It's phenomenal. But it's able to keep track of the conversation in one place, and she happens to do it through Basecamp, and I've been very impressed by it. But you talk about results and sharing with clients what you're doing. They can just log in, like we go into her Basecamp account, and you'll see the conversation, the advice she gives through there. I mean, it really shares the value of what she offers. Okay, well, we have 4 more minutes until this last webinar for SEO Week ends, and I'm going to put in the chat again the place to find Rebecca on Twitter and the hashtag SEO Week. But be sure and tell her thanks. She's provided all of these webinars at no charge to you this week. I hope you got a great start, many things that you can implement. One of the things you could probably do, a tweet out with @Rebecca Gill, is to say, here's what I've learned, here's what I'm doing as a result of this time well spent for SEO Week at iThemes, and check out her services and stuff. There might be an opportunity where you need to push some work her way even. She does some really awesome projects, some things that I've been very thankful to be able to see as part of what she does. Okay, Rebecca, here I'll give you the last question. And by the way, if we didn't get your question answered, please scroll down underneath iThemes chat, the chat box there, and you'll see a green button that says Ask an SEO Question. Put those there, and we'll be sending those over to Rebecca, and then talking about some future training potentially that I've been encouraging her to do. And I can tell from having over 400 people on the call today that there's a need for this. But my question for you, Rebecca, is let's say I've never offered SEO services, but I feel confident, and I feel like I've got some good nuts and bolts things that you provided me this week. What's something that I could do as that beginning person to start stepping forward and offering SEO services to my client? Maybe I'm a freelance web designer and really looking forward to offering this kind of service. What's our first step?
I think that's a great question. The first thing I'd offer is keyword research, because clients don't know how to do it, and giving them some direction on what keywords would be good for their industry and their website and their target demographic is safe to do. It's something that you can do without much negative ramifications, but still provide lots of value to the client, and it'll help get your feet wet, and it'll help provide some great value to your customers.
Absolutely. Just thinking through strategy, and what a great suggestion, and a great way to end SEO Week. Rebecca, thanks for taking your time and your talent and sharing it with us this week. I know there have been a lot of takeaways that are going to make people money today if they start implementing them. So thanks so much, Rebecca, for being on this first ever really SEO Week. We've offered SEO stuff in the past, but this has been one sustained thing from someone that does it day in and day out, and so we really appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, you have a good Christmas, and thank you all for being here. Again, I'm going to share her Twitter link, and we'll be emailing the replay and slides here very soon, but be sure to tell her thanks and even say, here's what I learned that I'm going to make money on, that I'm going to improve my business or my clients' lives through this week. It's been awesome. So till next time, be sure to tune in to W Prosper. The whole thing has been kind of under that banner of the W Prosper campaign we've had that year. And I'm going to be, once Rebecca takes a breath from this whole week, this marathon of webinars, I'm going to be asking her about some upcoming training, and then again pushing her to do some kind of full-blown course that you can come and get trained and be able to sell this to your clients. So anyway, thank you all. Have a great week.